So in this video here, we're going to be looking at the session. Now this is the basic setting when you get started before you actually really tweak and change anything here. I strongly recommend you to do that. Now the reason is very simple. The basic settings all include your player's behavior, things that you might want to change here for yourself to get the best outcome here. Now keep in mind here, what I feel is most important is your velocity map preset here. Now this determines actually how hard or soft your keys, depending on your keyboard, actually will respond, and you can change them here. Now you have a couple of presets. If you click on that preset button, there are factory presets. And let me quickly show you what that does. If you use the easy one here, you will see the curve here go slightly up. Now if I press a button, it will be actually louder, and I will actually have an easier time if I press a button to play. If I bring it in the other direction, it will actually be harder, so I have to press harder to get a sound out, but it gives me actually more opportunity to be more direct and playable in the lower end. Now this also depends on your play style and where you were trained to learn. If you are an organ player, you have a different play style than a person who used to learn on an old piano where you really have to hammer the keys and hit them hard. And the same goes for keyboards. There are many different keyboards, some with hammer techniques and some have not. So, but this makes a big difference in your sound, in your overall sound. Now for my settings, I like relaxing quiet music, and I have actually trained myself to play actually really quiet. So I really enjoy actually here to set this to a harder settings. Here to hard, and you can tweak that as well. If you don't like the presets here, you can go here to change your hardness as well here to bring the level up or down. As you can see, if I bring it for example to 100% and I hit the button now, it will be very direct and very loud. As you can see, this curve shows me actually from the quietest to the loudest here where it will have its strengths here in this curve. So from changing it from linear here up, it has a lot more up here. If I do it in the other directions that I prefer for my kind of music, it will be the opposite. So as you can see here, it's doing the opposite, and I kind of like that. As I say, I play soft music, and for my style this is perfect, but tweak it to the way you want it. You also can calibrate this velocity map here yourself. There is a way to do this automatically. If you click here on set and click OK, it's going to ask you for the softest dynamic level, so you really hit your key very gentle, and then you do the opposite and you hit it hard. And what changes here is, here you have the values. So my actually softest way of playing is 1, and my highest is 127, which is actually the MIDI highest as well. So MIDI works from 0 to 127. Now it wouldn't make a difference if I really changed this to 0 back where it was actually, or 1. But that's about depending on your keyboard here that is connected with your MIDI. Now you can also save these things if you like them. So if I want to, for example, bring them even more down, if I say I like them better here, I click on my save button. I can give this a name if I click save as, and actually type in here my first velocity preset, and I have saved here my velocity preset. Now on the left side here, and this is the second thing to look at, you can change basic things such as your MIDI channels. Probably leave it to all to see if you get an outcome here, unless you really want to trigger something specifically. You can also have an influence on your memory use, your voices. This might be interesting here. If you play a lot of sustain, you might want to change that and bring this to a higher number to avoid any dropouts or disturbances while playing. So I think a good number might be between 64 and 128 here. Bring it up. I think you can go up to 300 here in the software. Really, it depends what you play here. But keep in mind, this takes CPU power, so you want to keep it to a level where you're not getting over it and you're within that range. Now you can also change your octave. Might ask yourself why you want to do that. If you have smaller keyboards, like I have for this demonstration, I don't use an 88 key one. I do have some, but I have connected this right now. I can actually here switch my octaves if I use the same range on my keyboard, and I bring that up and down here. As you see, it will actually influence and go an octave up and down. I can do the same here for transposing. If I play with other musicians and they have tuned the instrument in a different key, I could change that quickly here. Or if I like to try out something new and play actually in different keys, I can actually change this with my transposition. Now I also have a fine pitch. I personally have never used that, so this might be really for some things that you want to actually really adjust this to something where you feel it's disturbed for this particular chords or playing. What I do use sometimes here is the overall pitch here. The 440 Hertz is the standard all over the world. However, I use 432 sometimes for my healing music program, actually relaxing. There are some studies out there that is supposed to be relaxing more. It produces more sustaining sounds and some of the more overtones I feel. So you might want to change that. There are a couple other frequencies too. YouTube has a lot of videos for that. You can actually check that out. Back in the days, there was no standardized tuning. Every city, every manufacturer, every place had different tunings. So you might want to set this if you have something specific in mind or a period of time to some other value here. Now, if you play with other instruments and musicians, they probably have this tuning, so keep in mind, like the horn sections and things might not be able to change this. They are tuned to this 440 Hertz. It's a little easier with cello players and other people that have an influence on their tuning. The silent key velocity, I have never changed that. Not sure if you want to use that. I have also not used actually the tuning table. You can do that here. As you see, you have a couple of options, but for my playing, it's not necessary. Here, half pedaling, this option here is something interesting. Well, most of the pedals, sustain pedals, for example, they only have an on and off switch. So either a signal of 0 or 100%, or 0 and 1 in digital, in the binary. What that means is basically here with half pedaling in these settings, if you have a newer pedal that allows you actually to have steps in between, like almost like a gradient here, you could actually set this here yourself and be more specific. Now, a real piano, as you know, will actually shift that slightly mechanically, and it does have that actually gradients inside. So if you get a better pedal, you can use that. I haven't done that. I have actually, I think I tried to play it on that one time or so. You have to get used to it and you just have to have it available. So if you can, use it. If not, just leave it as it. The settings are good. If you want to bring the levels down here, you can do that as well. You will not probably notice a lot of difference here, since, as I say, this works actually only on 2 levels here, up and down. So that's pretty much it for these settings. Now keep in mind, when you have done that and you like your settings overall, save them here as your own preset. If you click on save, you can either use this setting that is by default here, or click on save as and give this a new name. We actually call this here as well my first preset, and click OK here. Now I have my own first preset. I also have my velocity map. These are the things that I really recommend you to do. You can also change the gain if you feel it's not loud enough or your speakers just don't give the power or something. You could do that. Otherwise, leave that really here, and the tuning you can stretch and equal. I haven't changed that either, but you have these options here, and it's nice that the team here considered, the development team, to have these features available as well. Well, in the next video, we're going to look at some of the program features here.